And now here is CJ with the CJ Real Show. Coming to you live tonight off the grid. Now let's get going. J Real coming to you here today on February 26, 2025. Hope everybody's having a great week out there today. The name of the show today is America Got Punked, Got Robbed, Got Enslaved. This was a giveaway. This was not selling out America. You know, in the moral sense, it was selling out America, but they were giving America away to any and everybody that would take the money. And this is one reason, you know, our credit worthiness in America, I'm sure a lot of that is based on assets that America has. And, you know, there's different kinds of assets. There's gold, there's real estate, there's homes, there's any number of things. But most things can depreciate, and, you know, like a home. You got a home, and it's worth $400,000 today, and in 20 years, if you don't put another $100,000 back into it, then it's not going to be worth $400,000 because the asset has depreciated. You have to keep it up. See, with gold, you don't have to keep putting money into gold. You buy the gold, you got the gold. That, you know, the only cost to the gold is securing the gold. That's it. You don't look back, you know, 30, 40 years later and say, well, gee whiz, now the gold's not, you know, has went down and depreciated because, you know, it's not brand new gold. No. It's gold then and it's gold now. See, and this is the strongest case for gold because it never changes. It stays the same, and that's why it's been called God's money ever since the creation of earth here. He, you know, God even values gold in heaven. And how do we know, and how can we prove that the politicos, this communist Democrat uniparty, global economic order has robbed Americans of so much? And here's how you prove it. Because you look at the national debt, $37 trillion, and then you look what you got to show for the $37 trillion. We went and spent $37 trillion, and what did we get for the $37 trillion? We got nothing. In fact, we got less than nothing, because with that, during that period of the $37 trillion spending spree, we got 50 million illegals over the last 25 years. We've gotten 50 million illegals in our country. We've paid them a lot of money, and you know, we got nothing to show for the $37 trillion. What we got was a bunch of people coming in the country illegally. We had a wide open border. We had a lot of Americans getting murdered and victimized because of all the drugs coming in. We had a lot of Americans hurt by this fear porn, tremendously overblown fear porn on the COVID-19. And then we had the COVID-19 shots. And then we've had the inflation. That's just one blow after another blow. And every blow, the worse the blow is, the more it costs you, because you're having to pay to wreck your own country and wreck the American people. And that's what happens. Never let a good crisis go to waste. Well, that's exactly what they do, is they use a crisis to make the waste on the country, on the American people. And that's how you know you've been freaking robbed. And not only have you been robbed, you know, you're a victim there. I mean, let's not forget that when you rob someone, that is a crime, a violent crime. And they'll say, oh, well, you know, we didn't hold a gun to your head. Well, we stole the money. We just stole the money. Well, you know what money represents is a part of somebody's life. Blood, sweat, and tears, time. Time doesn't matter to any damn thing on the earth except for things that live. Right? Everything else, time doesn't matter. But time matters to living things. And that's why you have a value on money. Because somebody has to put their hard work and sweat and tears and time they can never get back out of their life into making the money. And if you steal somebody's money, then you're stealing part of their life. It's just plain and simple. You know, do you know what slavery is? Do you know there's different kinds of slavery? That's sort of like putting somebody in bondage, putting somebody in slavery so you could benefit. It's wrong every time you do it, every way you do it. It's wrong. So that's how we know we've been robbed for 20, 30 years. Just the complete and utter. It wasn't even a sellout. It was a giveaway. It was make money giving America away. That's what it was. And they thought they had already put the final piece in. And then Donald Trump got elected. They knew damn well they were in trouble. 6 months up till the election, before the election, they knew all along. They knew all along Biden wasn't in charge. They knew he wasn't going to be able to do anything. They tried to call everybody a liar that seemed the stumbling, mumbling, incoherent Biden. Not only did you not hear what he said, you didn't see what him say it either. See, I mean, they came at all fronts. They thought their propaganda machine was so powerful that it could convince all the monkeys that they really didn't see and hear what they saw and heard. And all the wires and all the programming hooked up to the monkey's brains to brainwash the monkey into thinking it didn't see or hear all of the stuff these communist Democrats were doing to the American people and the country. It didn't work. Because some brains can't be programmed with your bullcrap. You can't, you have to prepare the mind for a long time. That's what all the school system is and the college and everything. It's all to prepare the mind to accept things that aren't logical. Because they've told you that these illogical situations are logical. They try to skew the logic, right? What don't matter what you think. What matters is what you saw, heard, and went through. That's the reality. The first thing you can see when people are trying to deflect from their ill-gotten behavior, the communist Democrats, the first time you hear any kind of criticism of Donald Trump from the communist Democrats, then you know that's a attempt to distract you from what they are doing and what they did. I think everybody's so stupid to fall for this. Oh, all these communist Dems, in the deep state and all this, and even some rhino Republicans went out here and just gave away trillions of your dollars. But we got to talk about something insignificant that Trump did today, and we got to blow that up out of proportion. We got to tell all the brainwashed masses the real deal. Don't think logically. Don't keep your eye on the criminals. It's like, take your eyes off the criminals so the criminals can get away. No, keep your eye on the criminals. When you hear all this crap, we know what the communist deep state and radical Republicans are in trouble. We know there's evidence. We've seen it with our own eyes for the last 10, 15, 20 years. And we can't be fooled. And that's what they're scared of. They've now figured out that nobody's buying their bullshit lies. And so they're panicking. They're coming up with any reason. They're out here shopping for places and people that's willing to take some money to get out here and make a stink about something Donald Trump's doing. It's the same crap every time with these communist Democrats, just like the Hillary Clinton. We can't stand it that Donald Trump's in power. We gotta fabricate. We got to criminally, meditatively fabricate false evidence so we can get him put in prison the rest of his life. And then meanwhile, we get the whole conspiracy to frame Donald Trump has been exposed, and these people still walk free. How does this happen? Well, I would think you got to thank those deep state rhino Republicans. Because the deep state rhino Republicans have a lot of power. The Mitch McConnells, all these people. And they could have these people indicted and tried for their crimes. Let's get them tried for their crimes. If they get tried in a court of justice, a real court of law here, and they get in there and they're found not guilty, okay, we gave it a shot. But we know, over the years, we've got the evidence. I mean, there is court evidence right now that Hillary Clinton is guilty of running a conspiracy, a criminal enterprise that made premeditative, fake and phony evidence to have him locked up possibly for the rest of his life. Those facts exist in a court of law where she's already been found guilty of this. Now, I think it was a civil suit, and it was brought by some kind of people or whatever, and this and that and the other. And they sued them for this, and I think she had to pay like $1.3 million or something. And that's a clear admission of guilt, that she is guilty of these things. I mean, you got your evidence locked right up in the court. How much stronger evidence could you have? And yet she walks free. So, it's so funny. It's like America went on a disaster spree. I mean, you could probably name 20 disasters that's happened in America in the last 4 years. And it's like every disaster, the country, they just threw a bunch of money out that never got to the disasters. And they gave money all out to their buddies and their friends, and they really didn't care about the disasters. And so the more money we spent, it seems like the more disasters we had. And the more money we spent, the less help the people got. How's this work? This can only be explained by some party that is intentionally trying to end your country as you know it. Your way of life, end America as you know it. Basically wipe out the American-born male and just bring the whole world in here. Can't you see it? Do you understand? This was a plan. They can't spend hundreds of billions of dollars on something that is not a plan. It's, as soon as they set up an NGO to go out here and give money to, a bunch of illegal immigrants coming into our country against the law. And the only reason you would do something against the law, like bring in tons and tons and tons of drugs that's going to kill a bunch of people and stuff like that, then you know that somebody is intentionally letting this go on. And that's what they did. And the reason why they gave away all the money to all these places around the world, well, what other reason could there be but kickbacks? These people have assets in other people's names. I guarantee you they're getting 10 times what they're reporting. Because why would any American want to have America ruined? And they can even say, oh, it's because America's racist, or America's the bigot in the world, and America's too big for its britches, or, any of these things. But, it doesn't wash. It doesn't wash because they're being affected too. Now, I guess if you got 20, 30, $40 million, maybe you don't care that America goes down. Maybe you don't care if only Spanish is spoken in your neighborhoods and schools and workplaces. They wanted to make, you should have seen this right off the get-go. When they come out 25 years ago, when that first giant wave of illegal immigration hit the United States, and everybody was complaining and bitching because, they didn't want to really make the students, the immigrant students, learn English. And they said, no. We're going to let them have their own language. See, that right there tells you, right there, what they prefer, what the end goal was. If you didn't plan to wreck the country, why would you not have English as the language? Only English. Well, because if we don't have only English, then we can have Spanish too, and then maybe one of these days, if our plans work out, we can just get rid of the English. And another reason for it is because usually back then, if you met somebody that didn't know any English and all they knew was Spanish, then there was a pretty good chance that they were here illegally. And that's why they had to not say nothing about it and push Spanish, so people wouldn't look at the illegals. They wouldn't be able to identify them because, anybody can speak Spanish now, right? We don't have to worry about if you know English. So if you don't know English and you're just talking Spanish, well, a lot of people do that. What's the problem with it, see? But before, when somebody spoke Spanish and didn't know any English, then you knew pretty much they were illegal. See, that's what they did. They had to bring in so many. They knew that the prospects of Donald Trump being elected, they knew a long time before Donald Trump got in. And even though they might not have knew, there's always a chance. And that's why they had to bring so many in. So they could rally all their troops that they're bringing in and giving our money. And then once Trump gets elected, now we got so many foreigners in our country that used to, like I said, man, back when I was a kid, you didn't see that many foreign people, right? I mean, it was hugely way less than it is now. And when you walked up or met that person, most of the times they spoke English. But then they started coming around and they didn't speak English. And then we said, well, why can't you speak English when, to be a citizen of the country, to be here, in the country, you got to know English. And you don't know English. So are you a citizen of the country? No, you're not. But now we got so many here. See, they say, well, they're going to start deporting the illegals. So we got to bring in another 25 million. So everybody blends together. And now they got a harder time getting the illegals out. See. And not only that, now we got 25 million people that we brought in that we can tell them through our Communist Democrat telephone texting system that the Republicans and nuts are nothing but a bunch of racists. And so now these 25 million people can go online and tell all their friends and everybody else that Republicans, conservatives, and Christians and Donald Trump are a bunch of racists. And that's really the worst part about us getting robbed. Because not only did we get our country, our economic system, our economic prosperity, everything, we got everything stolen. But not only that, they gave the money to people that aren't supposed to be here. And then, as they're giving them their money, your money every month, they're also reminding you that, what? White America hates you and they don't want you here. See, that's the worst part about it. Because they're going to turn around and rob our country blind. They're going to get the money, steal it from us, and they're going to give it to these people who we do not want here, never voted for this to happen. And not only are they going to give them your money, give them your fortunes, your futures, your economic prosperity, everything, but while they're handing them your money, they're telling them, well, the guys we got the money from, they hate your guts. See, that's the worst part. That's the worst part. And they got to keep the hate up so they can keep these people on a leash and keep them donating to the Communist Democrat Party. If all these illegals weren't in, if the Communist Democrat Party was not kowtowing to these people and having communications with them, then we would not be seeing all these ICE protests and all these other protests that they do. When all these protests were going on about Palestine and Israel and all that, there were a lot of foreigners in those protest groups. And they probably just got here not too long ago, and they probably got here through the government. Because the government went around the world and advertised that we need brown people, basically, is what it is. And all these people can't speak the language. All these people don't know the history. They don't know the traditions. They don't know the religious situation here in America. They do not know the laws of the land, the United States Constitution. They can't even speak the language. The government says, hey, we got a great deal for you. I mean, if somebody come up to you and said, hey, you know what, I'll give you $100,000 if you move to the other side of the world, would you sell and leave everything you have to go get that $100,000? I wouldn't. I could use $100,000 really bad, but I would not do it. And I don't think anybody would do it unless they were promised, unless they were told that they were going to get the jackpot when they come here. We're going to give you the best of everything, a good check. We're going to pay for everything you need. And you're going to make a lot of money in the future. So it's worth it for you to leave everything you ever known in your life. All your relatives, this, that, and the other. A lot of these people had houses where they lived in these countries. And they sold the houses. And the thing is they got those apps where the government apps where these people in other countries download the app. Hey, you want to get paid to come to America and have a good life? Download this Communist Democrat, whatever it is, app here. And we'll come pick you up next week. And you'll get to make a hell of a lot of money. It was a recruitment program. That's what it was for anybody that wanted to come here. And as far as all the gangs and all that, the Venezuelan gangs and all this stuff. I'm sure the government knew all about these people. And I'm sure the government gave them money and gave them a ride and had them brought in. You know, a few of them might have got through the border unnoticed, but not all of them. No way. No way. And in fact, Venezuela, I mean, here you're a politician and you want to play Mr. Broker, right? Well, Mr. President in Venezuela, I'll tell you what, we can cut a deal with you and get rid of all your bad people that you don't want here. We can get rid of them for you, but, you know, it's going to cost you. You know, you need to get rid of 50,000 bad guys. Well, we can handle that for you for $5 or $10 million, and you'll just be rid of them. And then those same brokers turn around to the U.S. government and say, well, you know what? I know you're wanting people into the country real bad right now. I can bring you 50,000 for $1,000 a head. Then playing both sides of the field here. And the thing is you just can't fathom. That's the thing, you got to fathom at how dirty and how unscrupulous these people are. So there's so many ways to commit fraud, and one of the ways that they're doing it is from the computer. See, we need another paper age. See, we need paper, and we need to have secure, locked places for documents, for transactions, for recordings, and all this stuff. You know, every time somebody makes a phone call that works for the government, there needs to be an automatic transcription going into a safe room that none of these security places can have access to, only the president and his office. The FBI, the CIA, all these people know, because the United States government, the highest rank in the land, the President of the United States, needs to have a carbon copy of everything in a secure locker, server, whatever you want to say. I mean, let's see, we don't really need the servers. I know we're not going to be able to, you know, print everything down instantly, and so it's going to have to be on the server for a little while. But after a while, as soon as the stuff gets printed up on paper and filed away, you know, physically transcribed documents, then whatever's on the server can be deleted. So if someone does break into the server, they can't damage everything, right? Nor will they be able to steal everything, right? So that's how you know you've been robbed. That's why you know the last 4 years have been total crap. Because the government's tried to get rid of you as an American citizen. They tried to get rid of your power. They tried to get rid of your political role in the country, you know, the power that you have politically, because they've brought in so many to dilute that power. Pretty sure that's unconstitutional. And went out and spent all your money to do damage. I mean, all these people can say that, well, we brought all these immigrants in. We did all this. We did all that. That didn't cause any damage to the country. Well, you're just a liar. There's a string of proof laying all over America that America is worse off, that this harmed America, and therefore it is unconstitutional to spend the money on something that harms the investors and the one that pays the bills in America. It's just that easy. You know, America is a person just like you or me. And when somebody comes up and takes money out of my wallet and goes and gives it to people that are making my life harder, that are breaking the law, that are being violent, that are doing whatever, it don't even matter if they're doing anything. If they're giving my money away and I don't get the same amount of money that they're giving everybody else, then that doesn't make sense. You know, it's just like right now. How can you ask Americans to pay taxes when they can't even pay their bills? Don't you have to be able to pay the bills first? You know, it's dumb. It's stupid government policy that we're going to tax everybody so much to death that they can't even pay for the damn house that they're in. So guess what? They lose the house. Now you don't get the taxes, but see, they don't care because there's always somebody to scoop up the house. And then they pay the taxes. So they can't lose. This is another lottery type system that keeps the money coming in from the people into the governments. You can't do much about it. So then you pay the property taxes, and then the government takes the money from them property taxes, and they take the money from the, you know, $10,000 that you paid in taxes this year, and they go around the world and give it to people to come in here and try to change your way of life and your government and everything else. I mean, it's just, the proof is in. The proof's been in for 25 years now, guys. And that's why, it's all political and it's all corruption, because it doesn't make sense. That we've known for 25 years, this illegal immigration and the border being wide open is a reeking death pile of stench of the American people's bodies and victims being stacked up all over the place. And what these politicos and communist Democrats and everybody else have been telling us for 25 years is all that was worth it. I just ignored it. Didn't want to look that direction. Never wanted to. Every time one of these people went down to the border, they had to be hounded and hounded and hounded and hounded and looked like a uncaring piece of crap that they are. And basically were pressured to go down to the border, and then once they got to the border, they told a bunch of damn lies again. Because that's what they do. But Donald Trump's not lying. And that's why Donald Trump's got a heck of a lot of support. Because we're not stupid. We've lived through 25 years of the hell. We've seen the damage personally. We've lived it. We've been wrecked by it. We've seen all the crime. We've seen all the death. We've seen all the rapes. We've seen so much in the last 25 years. Needless deaths of the American people. And all those young girls and women and even men that got violently raped over and over. Where's the concern about their mental health and well-being? The girl gets gang raped at 12 years old. She'll probably take her 30 years to even trust another dude. She'll have nightmares for probably 2 decades living it over and over and over. And the Democrats don't give a shit, but they say they care about everything. They say they care about everything, but the reality is they care about nothing. All they care about is communist power. They want to defeat the greatest free country to ever exist. Well, in my lifetime anyway. And they don't care. You know why they don't care? Because they think differently, see? They think about right now, themselves right now, about virtue signaling. And you know why it's called virtue signaling? It's called virtue signaling because somebody gets up here and pretends to care so much about one person, about some illegal immigrant. But then when you bring up about an American citizen getting gang raped at 12 years old and having to live with this, for 40, 50 years in their forefronts of their mind, they just brush it aside like it doesn't mean anything, almost like it was a dog. And that's how you know these people are irrational. You can't make sense of it. How can you love one person so much, but the next, no, not even a tear, not what happened? Did they arrest the guy and put him in jail? Well, they arrested him and then they let him go in 2 days, and guess what? He went and did it again. Oh, well, at least that little immigrant girl got to come into the United States. Well, there was 12 more of them that was raped too the next week. Oh, well, that's all right. It was worth it. See? It makes no sense. Makes no sense at all. All right, guys, I think we need to dig further and deeper down into this Ukraine-Russia situation. And we got a guy from Ukraine, the president, is going to come here and beg the United States for money or demand the United States give it money. And I wonder why Donald Trump didn't say, well, Zelensky, you sound like you're pretty grateful, but the thing is your government has a hit list on Americans here in our country. Why in the hell should we support you? Because it's been known for some time that the Ukrainian government's put out a hit list on people that aren't favorable to the Ukraine war. And they put out a hit list on many, many Americans. I think Jack Posobiec is on that. Charlie Kirk, Steve Bannon, many other conservative, Republican, right-wing people in our country that don't want to keep funding wars, and they've been verbally outspoken about this. Well, now they're on this Ukrainian government hit list. What about that? Why didn't he bring that up? Now, it would be interesting to know if Zelensky has any relatives, close or distant relatives, serving on the front lines in the Ukraine war. Because I think that would probably mean a lot, wouldn't it? And it's funny how we always get down to the people that have the power to make war. And they never have, their personal families never have any skin, any blood in the game here. Donald Trump said that money that we gave them before, the weapons, the money, all this support, everything else, helped prolong the war and help kill many, many, many more people. Almost like we're an accomplice. And having said that and recognized that, why would you even consider giving this guy any money? Well, we can call it, we'll get these mineral rights in Ukraine and we'll call it a business deal. See, it's not to support the ideology of Ukraine. We're not supporting that. No, we're just investing in these mine fields or whatever, right? These rare earth minerals or what have you. So I'm taking it that this is another lottery gamble. We'll invest $200 billion and we get the rights to the minerals. And if you win, we win. If you win, that's great. Now we can go in after it's all over and get our minerals. But if you lose, we lose, because Russia is surely not going to hand over the minerals. That the money that was used to access the right to those minerals was knowingly used to buy armaments to prolong the war and seek the defeat of Russia. So do you think they're going to actually let us go in there and get the minerals? I doubt it. So, since Trump said that without us, there's no way Ukraine can win, and maybe even with us, there's no way Ukraine can win, because we would probably have to up our efforts at least fivefold. And if we're not going to do that and go in 100% to win, then there's no point in any of it. There's no point in the mineral rights. There's no point in one more dime being spent, one more life being lost, because it's practically impossible for Ukraine to win. So all this is a bunch of crap. That's what it is. These are, there's nothing here. And Zelensky wants to say, well, you know what, Putin's been the aggressor. He's been moving forward towards us, and now he's wanting us. But he fails to mention that NATO was doing the same thing to Russia. How they kept pushing and pushing and pushing, trying to get ever closer to surround Russia and leave them stranded on an island where they couldn't protect themselves or do anything else. So everybody can say it's Putin's fault. But Putin seems to have been pushed over a cliff. We had this treaty with NATO and all this stuff, and they haven't kept their word. But everybody only cares about Putin's word. See, they don't care about NATO's word. They don't care about Zelensky's word. They don't care about the words, when we started giving all these armaments away. Oh, we're going to have a great advantage, and we can, get this thing turned around and win this war. And every time it's the same thing. And it sort of makes no sense that Zelensky come over here and beg for money so no more lives will be lost. No more Ukrainian lives will be lost, when we know damn well when they get the armaments that more lives will be lost. It's just an oxymoron bunch of bullshit. And it has been from the beginning. Because everybody wants to talk about how great Ukraine was as a country. Well, look, I'd say practically every church that I've ever been to or heard of around these parts all had missions in Ukraine. And they'd all say all the people are dirt poor in Ukraine. We need to go to Ukraine and help people and spread the word of God in the process of helping people. And that every church you ever heard of had a mission in Ukraine. Why does Ukraine need a bunch of missions everywhere if we got a good government, if we got a country of prosperity for the people? You don't need missions from foreigners. And the reason why they need the missions for the foreigners is because, like every other out-of-control government, the people in the seats of power and all their buddies and friends, just like any communist Democrat party, the people in the party get taken care of and everybody else gets to eat baloney, right? So all this is total crap, man, from the get-go, no question. I mean, really, we could even do this. We could say, well, to Zelensky, we know that, you keep telling us if we don't give you this massive, massive, massive support, even a lot more than we're giving you now, if we don't give you that, then you are going to lose. That's what you're telling us. And So what you're telling us is your fate is in our hands. If you don't get a certain amount of dollars, then you will not survive. That's what you're telling us. So what we should be doing is we should be getting probably 10 times more minerals than what they're planning on making a deal for to get this money. We should probably be getting 10 or 20 times more, because what does it matter if you don't get the money? You're not going to survive. See, how much minerals are you willing to give up to save your country? That's what this comes down to now. But there's so many questions that could be asked that are not being asked. You know, oh yeah, you need a couple $100 billion. Well, first thing you need to do is you need to get rid of that government hit list you got on our American citizens. That's number one. Right? And number two is you got to be accountable for every stinking dollar. But, I don't like it. I think there just should not be a deal. There just shouldn't be a deal. If you want to blame the war, sure, we can blame Zelensky for carrying it on. But really, the main blame here is NATO. Because, it's Zelensky and NATO together. When Zelensky was in trouble right from the beginning, when the war started, he should have went to NATO and said, okay, I need to know right now, before we get slaughtered, has NATO got our back 100%, and you're going to show up in 3 days to help us fight off Russia, or you don't. Anything less is unacceptable. It doesn't matter. It's just a waste of time, because we will be annihilated unless you step up to this certain degree. And if you don't commit to that right now 100%, then we have no option but to surrender. You hate to say that, right? You don't like to see a bully come in and bully people around and kill people and stuff like this. But there are certain realities in this world, and the reality is NATO has already went beyond its charter. It's legally gone beyond its charter that, it originally had. Russia's just got a hell of a lot more might than Ukraine, so it's obvious. It's obvious. We got the might of Russia, and then we got the might of NATO. That's the only fight in town. But NATO doesn't want to fight. So what does that tell you, Mr. Zelensky? That tells you that you're not worth it to them, that if they do this, it's going to be it's going to be World War III. And nobody wants to push it to World War III. And that means that you're on your own, pal. That's just how it works. Sorry to say. But surely, Putin's been trying to get a deal with Zelensky for a long time. One that would be beneficial to Zelensky and Ukraine and all the people there and the Russian people. It would have been mutually beneficial. And he wouldn't take the deal. Why wouldn't he take the deal? What's the personal vendetta? Or is it, I think it's more than a personal vendetta, because if it was just a personal vendetta, then NATO wouldn't even be involved. They would say, you made your own problems, you made your own troubles by running your mouth, and we're not backing that up. And apparently they're not backing anything up anyway. And it's just a waste. That's what this whole 3 years has been with this war. A waste. So, and then I heard that Donald Trump gave Israel $40 billion a day. Come on. Let's stop giving the money away. So the war thing, here's the thing. We need to say no to Zelensky, and we also need to say no to Israel, because if we say no to Israel, then Zelensky can't come up and throw that in our face and say, well, look, you're helping out Israel. You're giving them $40 billion. This is racism, that you're willing to help Israel out and you're not willing to help us out. Well, Israel is an ally and you aren't, because you're not dependable. You don't tell the truth. You don't see reality. You're a bad business guy. You're a bad politician. You just, like all other communist Democrats, you just run your mouth and make things sound, put the slant on things the way you want them to sound and come out to get your way. There's no reality. The reality looks different from what you're telling us. So you're just a bad president. You're bad for your country. You're bad for your people. A good leader of Ukraine would have went to Russia on day one and said, hey, I'll tell you what, you give us 10% of whatever comes through the pipelines you want to run through here, and you go and you stack security, make this the security hub, front line of Russia here, so we know that we are completely safe from all outside forces and guarantee us that our people will, be more prosperous than they are right now. And we got a deal. That's what a good business person would do. But no, it's Russia, it's Putin. We can't have nothing to do with you. Well, you'll have something to do with everybody else that's wanting to give you money, but you won't have nothing to do with Putin that wants to give you money. Well, that will mean if Zelensky would say, well, you know what? If I made a deal with our enemy, then I would be a traitor to our country, and then I could face the death penalty. Oh, come on. Maybe you can put the spin on it that you want to surrender and stop the war right now, and put your spin on it that you're saving lives. How about that? Because there's no damn way you can win. And then to come over here with an attitude and try to put blame on us for the death that's going to happen in the future if we don't give you this, that, and the other. When the reality is the death's going to happen after we give you everything. There's going to be more death. So your little bribery games don't work. See, your little spins don't work. So we just need to stay out of everything, and we need to mind our own business, and we need to focus on America is what we need to do. We need to focus on that border. We need to turn up this illegal immigration deportation operation. We got to turn it way up. And we have definitely got to make an arrest on one of these communist, deep state, law-breaking, treasonous, communist Democrats. And when we do that, now everybody knows we ain't bullshitting no more. That we mean business. Day one. We already know that the FBI has been very defiant. And there's the few major big hubs in the United States with the FBI. And I would say that given the circumstances under the trials and errors that Donald Trump has been through in New York with the lawfare and everything else, it would be pretty much safe bet to say that the New York FBI operation has been rogue for quite some time. And that means that when you're the Attorney General and you're the FBI Director, as soon as you get in, the first you tell your people that you're going to be in charge of, you tell them, well, as soon as I get sworn in, you head up to that New York FBI office and you seize that office and you seize all the evidence. See these people now. It's almost like they're trying to act like they didn't know that the New York FBI was rogue, even after all the crap they've been involved with Donald Trump and everything else, before the election. Like they didn't know it. No, they knew it. Everybody knows it. And they should have known it, and they should have been ready to go from the minute one. But they didn't, and now they're trying to, we got transparency. We're going to show you that the New York FBI up there, they're not cooperating with us. Well, that's not the kind of transparency we want. We want the kind of transparency that when that office doesn't comply and doesn't abide by the law, that you send people in, you send law in, and lock it down and seize it and put people in jail that blocked the people government here from the evidence, from the things that we needed. And that's the kind of transparency we want right there. Because after you got them arrested and you got them locked up, you can tell us you arrested them and you locked them up and how much the bond is and what the charges are. We don't want to hear about how they're not complying, because you're the boss. It's up to you to make them comply. And if they keep not complying, then I guess it falls on you because you're the boss, you're the head. And everybody's bending over backwards not to arrest some big name politician that's been involved in all this traitorous action, against Donald Trump personally. And see, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. When the Trump crew won, they said, we got to hit the ground running. We got to get as much done as we can, as fast as we can, because once you get in, as the days go by, you lose momentum because everybody gets lackadaisical. We're trying to do this and we're trying to do that, and then all of a sudden you got these roadblocks and dead ends and all that. So now everybody's standing around, hands up in the air, and they're just, well, what's the point in coming into work today, and da-da-da, right? What's the point in trying to break through this New York FBI office up here that has gone rogue? What's the point? Because we're just getting stonewalled, stonewalled, stonewalled. Well, you're getting stonewalled because you won't take authoritative action, and the American people voted you in, and you have the authority. Stop acting like you're scared of the authority. You wanted the authority. All these people bragged about the authority before they got the authority, what they would do if they had the authority. And now you got the authority, and now you're not doing all the stuff you said you were going to do. And I don't think it's that hard. You can't get a team of 100 enforcement guys up and go up to the New York FBI office and seize the damn office and arrest people. Why do you think? There's going to be a shootout or something? You think there's going to be somebody, they're going to have the office rigged where, if they come in and get us, we're just going to let off the bomb and we'll just blow us all up. See, there's really no rationale at all for not sending in the team and seizing the office. Unless you think somebody's going to come out big time violent. There's absolutely no downside at all. In fact, there's a lot of upside because that's what the American people voted you in to do. And you need to quit being scared of authority. You look like a bunch of kids. You don't look like adults because adults take authority when they've been given authority and they use that authority. Just like corporal punishment used to be back in school when I was coming up. You did something wrong, man. That teacher whipped that paddle out and whooped that ass. Right? And I think most of the times the teachers didn't want to do that. They didn't want to do it. And in some cases, when your parents tell you, I don't want to have to whip you, but I got to do it because I love you and I got to do it. It's for your own good. That's what adults do. That's what people with authority do. They don't take excuse after excuse after excuse and just lay down and then finally say, well, whenever you're ready to give me the stuff, I'll be here. Just give me a call. No, that's not leadership. That's not authority. And the sooner the authority gets laid down in this country, I would say, I guess the administration is worried about, well, if we go arrest some big Democrat head, then we could have a lot of violence tonight. Well, you know what? Then go arrest 10 or 20 of them. Go arrest 10 or 20 of them, and that'll give them something to riot about. And then when they come out and they burn everything up, we can lock them up too. How about that? Because that's the only way America gets better, is by getting rid of the criminals. It's not by giving the criminals another chance, another chance, another chance. Oh, I'll let you go and I'll show you how to make a good living, clean without criminal activity. Don't work like that, man. Don't work like that. And the thing is right now you have the chance. Right now is your big chance. If we don't start arresting people soon, then before long it will probably, every day that goes by that people aren't arrested and the authority of the government and the law system, the law enforcement, the sooner we get that, the sooner everybody can be shocked. All the communists, Democrats, and criminals can be shocked and see that we mean business and you're going to abide by the laws of the land. And if you don't, you're going to have consequences to pay. And now everybody can shape up and see the reality now, and they can make a different path to stay out of prison. But if we don't start shocking people into reality, this doesn't end. It's not going to end. Why would it end? There's no reason for it to end. If there's no consequences, there's no reason for it to end. And by keeping this kind of mentality around, this kind of thinking around, of course the communist Democrats are trying to sabotage every damn thing they're doing. Well, suppose they're successful at that. And then come 2028, they manage to get elected again, and now we still got this bullshit communist lefty law system where nobody is held accountable. They'll be able to just take right back up from where they left off. And if we don't have a stout law system and a quick response and people held accountable, then we're not going anywhere. Everybody's going to be rich, everybody's going to be prosperous. Well, that don't matter if somebody knocks you in the head and takes all your money and, they don't even go to jail, or they're let out the next damn day and they're spending all your money and you are left in a ditch. It's sort of like all these illegals that come in the country. They come in the country, they go to a junkyard and they buy a junk car and then they stick another engine in it. And then they steal a tag or manipulate something somehow to get a tag or whatever. The DMV provides tags, I guess. And they'll go out here and they will drive illegally. And they'll run in, they'll run a red light, or I've seen this at least a dozen times. They'll run a red light and they'll hit an American citizen and total their car. And the illegal flees. Before the police get there, they run and flee. The American citizen's sitting there with the total car with the big gash on his head. And then the next day, the illegal, the illegal's been found and all this and that and the other, but they didn't get any charges. They weren't even slapped on the hand. They were just like, okay, you're an illegal, so we can't really do nothing to you. Seen this firsthand, word for word, just like that before. And so what happens is, they don't have any insurance or anything like that on the car. They ran the red light. They broke the law. They ran the whole accident was their fault. They have no insurance. You're sitting there with the total car, with a big gash on your head. The next morning you get up and you can't go to work because you don't have a car. But guess what? The illegal's already got another car. He's already out here driving around while it takes you 1, 2, 3 days to get a car, some kind of car you can drive until you get your car replaced. And then to come and find out, well, the guy didn't have insurance, duh. And so now your payout has been reduced, and now your insurance is going up because you're paying for the insurance that the illegal didn't have. See how upside down, how backwards is everything. All right, guys, that's what I got for you on this one. Hope you guys have a great rest of the week, and we'll catch you on the next episode. God bless, and take care of yourself out there.